Hey guys, it's Draco here with Blue Screen Bronies. We're here with Laura Shigihara for the second time. Laura is the composer and sound designer for Plants vs. Zombies, everybody knows that. But she also makes her own little games, and she's here to talk about Rakuen, which is a game that she's designed. And I've seen a couple characters there from other games that you were working on, just there. Like the little, I don't know if it's a fairy or a sprite from the Metalloon?
Oh, the Leeble character? The one that looks like a little cat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they're all over my site.
All right, Laura, it's been a while since we talked to you. How have you been?
I've been good. Yeah, I just got over a cold. I've been working hard on the game and just taking care of music stuff here and there, but I've been good. It's good to talk to you again.
Have you caught up on Pony?
I haven't seen the recent season yet, so I think I'm just gonna try to take a day and watch all the episodes at once.
Yeah, there's been a few gaming episodes actually thrown out there, like the Castlemania. It would have been so much better if they would have combined it with the Flutter Bats episode. If you've seen any of the spoilers, you know what that's about. If you haven't, I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Oh, I've only seen the first, the season premiere of the most recent season.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's been kind of an up and down with this season, so you might like it, you might not.
Oh, okay.
It's not Faust style, but it's not exactly totally Hasbro style, like to take it over and make it super girly.
Oh. So is she not doing most of the writing anymore, or?
She hasn't been a part of it since season 2.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the groundwork's there still, but it doesn't feel like Faust. Anyway, so lots of new games have came out and are coming out. Any of them got your eye?
You mean My Little Pony games, or just games in particular?
Just games in particular, like I don't know, the new Smash Brothers with the Little Mac character being announced.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, we got the recent Super Mario Brothers for Wii U, and I haven't played that yet, so I'm actually kind of excited about checking that out. I play a lot of indie games, and one of my friends actually released a game called Social Caterpillar recently, which it's cute. It's like a game about being an introvert and sort of how introverts handle social situations. And I was reminded of Fluttershy when I was playing it, so that one I'm kind of excited about. What else? I haven't been playing too many games in the past month or two because I've just been working on my game a lot, but yeah.
Right, now you've been working on your game quite a lot. How's it going? Can you share any tidbits with us?
Yeah, sure. What would you like to know about?
Well, basically, it looks a lot like To the Moon a little bit. Is it heavily based off of that?
It's not based off of To the Moon at all, but there are some similarities. I would say it's heavily story-based. So there's an overriding story. You play as a little boy who's kind of stuck in the hospital. He lives there, and he gets bored one day and asks his mom if she'd escort him to the fantasy world from his favorite storybook. So that's kind of the premise of the game. The meat of the game is that you have to kind of go through and get to know your neighbors and help them. They all have problems, and they all have these little mysteries that are tied to the hospital they're in. And the way you do that is by interacting with their kind of alter egos in the fantasy world. So for example, my grandfather has a cameo, and he plays your cranky old man neighbor in the hospital, and his alter ego is this big grumpy bear that's kind of messing things up, and you have to go talk to him and figure out what's wrong. I'd say in terms of gameplay, it's kind of like a mix between a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, because there's some dungeons. There isn't any fighting, but there's a lot of puzzles and kind of dungeon escape type things. And Maniac Mansion, you can go through and almost everything in the world is interactive. So you can pick up the phone and call people, or look inside drawers and try to piece things together and see how they work and what kind of reaction you get. And yeah, it's a lot like To the Moon in terms of, the story is probably the central focus of the game, and there's a lot of music. So, yeah.
Yeah, you also did the music to the Moon, so like the intro song.
Oh, I did the song Everything's Alright that you hear at the end, and some of the themes that were based around that.
Yeah, the main selling point for at least 3 people I know was that Laura Shigihara did some of the music, and they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's how I buy video games too. It's like, oh, Nobu did the music on this game. It's like, oh, awesome.
That's so cool.
I know.
I guess I'm kind of like that too. Like I got this one game, I can't even remember the name of it now because it was such a long time ago, but it was like a random DS game that Yasunori Mitsuda did the soundtrack for, and I just got it because of that.
Yeah, like a good musician, I will follow anywhere that they go, whatever they do. I mean, I didn't even like Blue Dragon, but I ended up buying it because Nobu did music.
Yeah.
I think the main reason why I keep buying games I don't like that I just want to hear the music from is because they quit doing like the soundtracks for every game just about. They only do it for the big games like Final Fantasy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what do you think about the game soundtracks kind of disappearing from store shelves?
Oh, I didn't even know they were ever in store shelves, actually. For me, it was always kind of hard to find the soundtracks. I'd have to get them online and stuff like
I
that.
remember buying at least 3 OSTs from Walmart,
Really?
but that's maybe because it was Walmart.
Oh, that's really interesting. I've not seen most soundtracks like in physical stores, so that's kind of cool.
I think one was Killer Cuts from Killer Instinct.
Oh, I see.
That was a long time ago. Alright, so Raccoon
Mhm.
is a game, basically, it sounded like a mystery dungeon crawler with no combat, so kind of like Professor Layton in a way.
A little bit like that, yeah. I'd say Professor Layton is more like you go from puzzle to puzzle with like cutscenes in between. This one you have more freedom to kind of walk around and explore the world. So you're not like spending, huge amounts of time on puzzles. It feels kind of like a JRPG in terms of the way you walk around, but it's not an RPG. Like you don't fight, you don't level up, you don't get equipment or anything like that. There is kind of a system where you're sort of improving things, but it has more to do with improving the hospital. Kind of like, I don't know, have you ever played Suikoden?
A long time ago.
Oh, okay.
I could barely remember it.
Well, one of the things I liked about that game was that at some point you get a castle, and a lot of things you do influence how your castle develops. Like you get more people to come to your castle to sell different things. You can upgrade portions of the castle or get like a bathhouse or a bigger kitchen or things like that. And so there's a lot of things you can do going back and forth between the two worlds that affect the hospital so that it becomes a better place for the patients. So, yeah.
Nice. Now, you're still doing your YouTube music stuff, correct? How many appearances has Metroid made?
I am not sure, but quite a few. He always has a way of like kind of getting into the video. If I try to pull him in there to say hi to people, he's like pretends like he doesn't want to be there. But then if I'm not paying attention, he always like saunters in.
It reminds me too much of the Sad Cat Diaries. Have you seen those?
I have not.
Basically, there's this one cat that says, "Dear Diary, the authorities have removed the black pants from the sofa. I now have no place to sit." There is a computer keyboard, but sadly no one is using it. I will wait.
Dear Diary, my food dish is now only half full. It is obvious that I will soon starve to death. I have repeatedly tried to draw attention to my predicament with the authorities, but they are clearly either stupid, deaf, or just cruel. This may be my last entry.
That sounds pretty accurate. Yeah, Metroid's a black cat, so I think he likes to camouflage or something. So anytime he finds like a black sweater or, something that matches him, he'll go and like hide in it.
So you've got a black cat. Are you a Miyazaki fan by any chance?
Oh, yes, definitely.
So have you ever thought of dressing up as Kiki?
I have, actually. I did a collaboration with Lon Lon JP, the guitarist, on YouTube, and we did a song from Kiki's Delivery Service, and so I dressed up. I had the red bow and everything, and I put Metroid on the back of my chair. Actually, he was already sleeping there, but he played as Gigi in that video.
That's adorable. Alright, so I just learned that the last Miyazaki movie to be coming out in theaters is coming out soon. I'm not even sure on the title because I was driving when my roommates decided to yell it at me like, oh my god, we gotta go see it. I'm like, okay, I'm driving. Are you excited about the new Miyazaki movie, or are you kind of stepping back because that's one of the ones that he came out of retirement to help with?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. I actually just saw the poster for it. I went to go see the Lego movie, and then I remember seeing like a poster for the new Miyazaki film, and I was like, whoa. I was a bit surprised to see it like in a big theater like that. I don't remember the title. It's got something to do with wind, right?
Yeah, it's got something to do with when I can't remember the exact name of the title either. But they did that with Ponyo and Arrietty. They brought it over to select theaters. I think they're doing it to more
Right.
now that Disney has a hold of it.
They've been, whoever's in charge of like localizing it, I think actually does a really good job. As someone who speaks both Japanese and English, I think it's kind of hard to translate because there's a lot of like subtle nuances or like references that don't necessarily make sense in the context of like an American audience. But I felt that for like Mononoke Hime and for Spirited Away, I think they did a really good job with localizing it.
Yeah, they did pretty good. It seemed natural to Americans that watched it. It didn't seem unnecessarily weird. However, there were some parts of Kiki, Pocoroso, and some parts of Howl's Moving Castle that just seemed a little off to English audiences. But you could look those up quite easily, and it wasn't too often. So it was
I think
pretty
also
good.
with Howl's Moving Castle, like a lot of people read the book first, and actually, so I'm a huge Miyazaki fan, but I would have to say that since I read the book first, a lot of it was really different. Like the character development was not as rich, I guess, and they changed a lot of things, like the ages of the characters, and they changed parts of the story. So I think watching it felt a little weird to me because of that, because it was kind of, it was a bit different. I still liked it, but it was just a bit different.
All right. I know we're bouncing back and forth between subjects here now. I do want to talk more about your game. Did you have any help with developing your game? Do you have any outside artists or outside musicians helping with your games?
So I'm doing most of it myself, but I have two people that I'm working with. I'm very happy to be working with. The first one is my friend Emi Toyonaga. She is the concept artist. So she does all of the kind of dialogue portraits that you'll see in the game when the dialogue pops up. And she's doing a fabulous job with those. She did the promotional poster, and she's going to do some of the kind of cutscene art that you see. And I'm also working with my friend Matt, who's helping out with some of the tile sets. Beyond that, I'm doing like the coding and the writing and music and just putting all of it together. But here and there, there's going to be some other people helping me with it. Like, for example, Andy Hull, he's the Spelunky programmer. He's doing one of the voices for me. And Dale North, he's the editor at Destructoid. He's also going to provide some voice work for me. So I'm excited about that.
Pretty good people there. Pretty good. I mean, Destructoid is getting a spot in the Lars Shigihara video game. That's kind of cool.
I love his music. He, I forgot where exactly I met him. I know it was through, some news related stuff, but he also did a cover of Everything's Alright that I absolutely fell in love with. I've listened to it a lot. So I was like, hey, do you want to do some music? So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of covers I've heard over the past years that have just been absolutely amazing. I know your Fi's theme was pretty good, like really good,
thank you.
Emotionally good. I've not played too many of the newer Zeldas, so it was kind of what got me to play.
Oh, that's so cool.
I was like, okay, this music sounds pretty cool. I wonder what the original sounds like. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go rent the game. Didn't feel too comfortable buying it. I was like, I'll go rent it.
Yeah, I really liked listening to that theme in the game. The first time you meet her, when she kind of like leads you along through the island, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful and mysterious. I wanted to keep listening to it.
It is pretty good. It's really good. It's one that kind of lasts a little bit longer than most songs
and then
do.
the reprise.
Most in-game music I kind of drown.
Yeah, like at the end.
Most of the in-game music just like drowns out. The action drowns it out, or it's not doesn't keep your attention long enough. It's just like, oh well, they spent no money on music here, so let's move on. All right, so you're doing at least 80% of the work. It sounds like for your game. Not too surprised after hearing about how much the Dust developer
he did an incredible amount of work.
So yeah,
I got to play his game during the IGF. I was judging audio stuff, and I played it and really, really enjoyed it. I was kind of blown away by like how much of the art he did, and like he did the programming too, right? Like he basically did the bulk of the
basically did everything.
And I like the music too by the Hyperduck guys.
Sure
I've loved their music since EG.
Yes. Their music was pretty good, and it fit the game so well. So it was really great. The person that got me to play that game was we interviewed Kim Tron and she's the voice of Fidget. I didn't know what the heck Fidget was at the time, so I was like, okay, I'll just go buy this game and play it for a little bit. Fidget is crazy. During our charity stream, we had an artist take commissions, and since somebody was asking for commissions, we decided to ask him to draw Dr. Fidget with a bone saw with the text, "Trust me, I'm a doctor." There's nothing about that deserves trust. Sorry, Kimlin. Sorry. But I guess that brings me to the next question. We spoke about character development in the Miyazaki movies, and while Fidget's not exactly the most trustworthy character with power tools, she still has some character development. Is character development going to be one of your main aspects of the game? Is there going to be a story there that actually draws from the characters developing as, I guess, people?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's basically what the whole game is about. The boy and the mom have their own little story, but a huge focus is actually on the boy's neighbors in the hospital. So there's kind of an overriding story that ties everyone together, having to do with the hospital. There's sort of like a mystery with this particular hospital. And then each one of the patients has, I guess you could say, like unfinished business or things that they're trying to take care of while they're there. And for the boy, he's at a point where he doesn't know how much time he has left, if it's limited, if he's going to, be able to leave the hospital. And so a big thing for him is kind of figuring out what meaning he has, like what kind of impact he's going to leave on the world. And for me, I wanted to, I guess, create a message that you don't need to save the world in order to make a big impact. Like some of the most mundane things that we do every day actually make a huge impact on the world. And for him, it's getting to know his neighbors and empathizing with them and kind of helping them with something that really bothers them. So each one of those patients has their own story and their own character development. And hopefully, I think that should resonate with people if I do it correctly.
It's all about execution on that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You've played some pretty bad games too, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've all played bad games where like, oh, there's an interesting character. Wait a second, they're not interesting at all. Wait, they're at the same place now at the end of the game that they were at like 2 hours into it.
Yeah, a lot of the characters in the hospital are based off of people that I know. All of my grandparents are in the game in some way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of cameos of people who are either currently in the hospital or have been at some point. So it's very personal, I think.
Well, that's nice. A personal project usually helps you get it finished. I've known some people that just it becomes too much of a burden and they got to put it off for a while and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But personal projects, it's something like, oh, I've got to finish this. I got to do this. So what can you say to the people that want to go out and create their own game? Should they find a lot of friends to help out, or should they try to just, He-Man it and work their way through, or I should say She-Ra it too, because, there are girls out there.
I think that, like, if you have a vision and you want to work on something, I would actually discourage big teams in the beginning, because, like, I've been part of a lot of forums where it becomes a lot more about like building this huge team where they're like, we have all these scripters and writers and audio people and, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes so much more about making a thread on a forum and creating hype that the game doesn't actually get made. A lot of the games, these kind of smaller games, are usually done by like 1 to 3 people. And then there might be people kind of peripherally helping out. But it's really important that you have a vision and that you can contribute something. So like, I would suggest learning how to program or picking up a game development program like Game Maker or RPG Maker or something like that. And just kind of, picking up skills here and there help a lot. But the smaller the team, the more streamlined it is and the easier it is to kind of get stuff done. I mean, there's definitely teams with more people where they've accomplished great things. But I think for a game of this scope, it's good to keep it a little smaller.
I agree with you fully on that because it's not a AAA title. You don't need a room of 50 people working.
Yeah.
It's more of something more personal. Not necessarily a 100 plus hour
right.
game. This isn't It's not like Pokemon or something. It's an indie game, and it's something it can be done with 2 people if they know what they're doing. It can be done with 5 people if they know what they're doing. It just depends on how much time you want to put into it.
Right.
All right, before we get to a little giveaway here, I gotta ask, are there any video games you would recommend that you have been either A, playing recently, or B, or old favorites that you would love to play all the time?
Oh gosh, there's so many. If you ask me about old favorites. Well, as for recent games, that's a bit easier. I would definitely recommend Zelda Link Between Worlds, whether or not you played Link to the Past. It's really fun. I would have to say that it's one of the first games in a very long time where I would actually get super excited. Like if I left the house for something, I'd be like rushing back so I could play it. The puzzles are great. The dungeon design is really, really well thought out and creative. The characters are good. The music is good. And it just gives you that sense of wonder that you have when you're a kid, when you're exploring things. So I definitely recommend that game. One of my top games of last year was actually a little indie game called Fleuret Blanc. And that game is sort of like reading a really good mystery novel where everything gets tied up at the end, and it's the developer did a really good job with it. It's pretty low budget, and I would say that you got to give it some time to get into it because the system is a little daunting at first. But once you get past that stuff, you realize you're in a really engaging story, and character development is very good. So I recommend that. As for games that I would play over and over again from the past, well, Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time. I've played Link to the Past like over and over and over again, and Secret of Mana. I love StarCraft. I can always just like load up a game of StarCraft. I don't know, the Mega Man series. There's so many games that I could play over and over again.
There are so many games, there are.
Yeah. I'll cut myself off there because I would just go on and on.
Alright, so Secret of Mana, have you been following Cryomore at all?
Not really. No, I heard of it, but I don't really know too much about it.
It's supposed to be like Secret of Mana, and it's an indie game that actually got a lot of money, so it's going to be on, I think it got over $400,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So it's going to be on consoles. It's like Secret of Mana and a few other games I can't remember right now off the top of my head that combined together. It's 3 other games. So it's supposed to be really good. The demo you can download and play a little bit of. Doesn't really have too much meat and potatoes just yet. It's kind of like a concept like, oh, here's what we got so far. When I first downloaded it, it had a lot of wireframes in it still.
Oh, wow. That's cool. You get to see it in such early stages.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. As far as like other games like that, I gotta agree with you on Mega Man. That's something I keep going back and playing all the time. But I found myself going back and playing Etrian Odyssey 3 as well. Even though it's not old, it's at least 5 years old. I don't know if that counts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Laura, gonna go ahead and give away some things here. What do you have to give away again?
I've got some Rockwind soundtrack codes. So the soundtrack hasn't been officially released yet, but you can download about like half the tracks, or a little less than half the tracks now, and then when the soundtrack comes out, you can get the whole thing.
Awesome. And just to let you know, Plants vs. Zombies soundtrack is also out there, correct?
Right.
Okay, so go buy Plants vs. Zombies soundtrack, and then you have a chance to win Raccoon. I'm going to go ahead and give you the question here, Laura.
Okay.
I'm actually going to make it quite easy for people.
Okay.
Like I said, I was going to make it quite easy.
Yeah. In Plants vs. Zombies, what is the name of the main villain?
There you go, guys. If you know the answer, send an email or a tweet to Blue Screen Bronies. Email bluescreenbronies@gmail.com. Tweet at Blue Screen Bronies. That's at BLUESCRN Bronies. Yeah, we had to abbreviate. Name too long. First word gamer problems, right? Well, that and being out of Mountain Dew.
I have not had Mountain Dew in such a long time, but I remember the taste of it.
Yeah, I get irritable when I don't have like Coca-Cola. That's my gamer feel right there.
Oh,
Coca-Cola.
yeah.
If I don't have Coca-Cola, I get so irritable.
In high school, I was so addicted to Coca-Cola. I have to say Coca-Cola and not Coke, because then people will like, be like, "What?" But yeah, I drank a lot
Lord, I never know.
I think at some point I went to some camp over the summer and I was drinking like 6 Cokes a day or something like that. I counted up later, and I was flying home on the plane, and for some reason I was just like, I think I'm going to have a ginger ale. And then I got a headache, and I'm like, why do I have a headache? like, oh, is this caffeine withdrawal? And so that really freaked me out. So after that, I just kind of cold turkey stopped drinking it and drank like 8 glasses of water a day. And now I just have it like as a treat, or if I have like hamburgers or something, then I'll have a Coke.
I've gone down to 2 or 3 per day. Sometimes it goes up to 4.
During stressful times.
I've cut out a lot.
Mhm.
I've cut out a lot as a part of my regimen, but water here in Houston kind of sucks, so I have to buy bottled water.
Oh.
Yeah, so bottled water is actually my treat to myself. Coca-Cola is more of a regular thing, so bottled water is my treat.
Oh no.
That's the way I tricked myself into liking bottled water more. All right, guys. Laura Shigihara on for the second time, and hopefully many more when she brings up more projects or just feels like talking to us, I guess.
It's nice to see you guys again.
It's nice. It's nice to always talk to you. It's always nice. And you all should go follow her at Super Shiggy on Twitter, because she is a wonderful person and she's awesome to talk to. You should also follow her on YouTube. I think it's also Super Shiggy as well, right? Okay, and she brings out new music videos all the time.
I actually just started my own Facebook too, because I did not have one for the longest time, and a bunch of fake Facebooks and fake me Facebooks popped up, and I didn't really mind at first, except my friends were like, they're using your pictures and pretending to be you, and I was like, well, that's not good. So I finally started a Facebook of my own. So that's just facebook.com/Laura Shigihara. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. All right, everyone. It's been Blue Screen Brownies interviews with me, Draco, and Laura Shigihara. Laura, Raccoon, I'm going to be excited to play it. It sounds like a great game. It really does. It sounds like a great game. It's been too long since I had a good story and adventure game without so much random battles. I like exploring, but I don't like exploring and then forgetting where I was at because I got into a long battle. That random dice roll decides to throw me super hard enemy, number 5.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I always get disoriented. Like, I love Final Fantasy VI, but one of the things I remember was, like, when I'd be on the overworld, I would get into a battle and then just be completely lost afterwards. Like, where was I going again? And I have to get reoriented.
Oh, the castle in the sand was, like, the worst for me. It's like, where's this castle and why am I missing it? All right. And if you guys wanted to know, yes, Laura Shigihara does... I think you're going to a couple cons this year?
Well, I usually go to the Game Developers Conference. Might hit up PAX this year. We'll see. I've been pretty busy lately, but might go to some.
You should totally go to PAX. It's awesome. And if you want to, you could swing up to Everfree Northwest. That's July 4th weekend. That's up in Seattle.
Oh, cool. I love Seattle. It's one of my favorite cities, definitely.
So you get to see a bunch of fireworks, go to a PonyCon, and be in Seattle. I mean, that's a triple win right there.
That's pretty cool.
Alright guys, thank you so much, and tune in Sunday nights on Everfree Network at 8 p.m. Eastern for more Blue Screen Brownies.
俺たちゾンビゾンビゾンビだ